What's poppin'? Today, we are talking elimination racing. More specifically, we are talking positioning yourself in the bunch to not get eliminated when maybe you are just getting back on the bike, you don't have the power and the anaerobic efforts in your system that you usually have, and you need to keep that power profile a little bit flatter. This also works in a situation when you are just completely outgunned by the field, which is sort of the situation I'm in on this particular night. Everybody here is far stronger than me, especially right now, considering the form I'm on. So let's talk about where you're gonna put yourself to make sure that you could chase down a top 5 finish at the very least. So this race in particular is actually part of the Greater Tuesday Night Racing Omnium that we do every week at the San Diego Velodrome. This is a combined A-B field, so the field is actually about 15 guys deep. If you're not familiar with elimination style racing, essentially what happens is every single lap, whoever is the last to cross the line is eliminated. Now they do that all the way down to 2 riders, and basically it ends up in a match sprint, head-to-head type finish. Now there are a few different strategies that people like to typically employ in an elimination race. One of those strategies is called playing the devil. If you're playing the devil, you're sitting towards the back and you basically sprint every single lap to make sure that you nick just that one guy at the line. Now, there are benefits to that. You really only have to beat one person across the line. You manage to stay out of the box because you're at the very back, so nobody is up track forcing you into a situation like I'm in here. But it's also a very risky game because you could find yourself in a situation where you just can't sprint around that last guy. In addition, it requires a ton of anaerobic big sprint efforts, so if your power profile is not set up for that, then that's maybe not something you want to do. That brings me to the alternative. The field in an elimination race is typically somewhat shaped like a lopsided triangle, and that's especially true every time you cross the finish line. Now, as I mentioned before, the people playing the devil at the back are at risk of being eliminated. If you want to avoid that altogether, you can just go crazy like Max, who is on the front right now, and maintain a steady TT-esque power profile, especially if you know that you can string things out. I personally don't like either of those strategies because neither really suit my power profile. Luckily, in a field like this, when you get a couple strong guys like Max and Taylor, my coach, in the field, they will get on the front and typically string things out. Not a lot of people can maintain this pace, especially when they're sitting out in the wind, and they especially can't maintain this pace when they have to sit in the wind and go the long way around the track. So one thing you'll note here is that I am just going to sit on their wheels. I am actually pretty comfortable in this scenario sitting third wheel behind the strongest guys on the track. At this pace, I'm pretty confident that it is extremely strung out behind me. In order for anybody to actually come around, they would have to have so much momentum and travel so many bike lengths to get around me that it's not really all that possible when there's still 9-10 guys in the field. Now, we're actually starting to dwindle a little bit, so I have to ride a little smarter, and I need to keep people in the box below me just so I can nick them at the line. You'll see that my way of doing that is actually accelerating on the home straight or just before the home straight pretty much every time we come around, and then I will drop back and try and get a little bit more of that half draft. So, as you can see, I'm accelerating here as we come into what is known as turn 4, which is the turn right before the final straight. I do have one rider in the box below me. He's not going to have room to get by. I accelerate up onto Taylor's wheel, and unfortunately, he is eliminated, but I stay in the race. Now, here is where I make a critical error. As you saw, the PRT rider in front of me came around and over the top. Instead of me maintaining Taylor's wheel and slotting back up into that third position where I like to ride, I dropped all the way back. It put me in the box, and I immediately knew I needed to hammer and jump around this PRT rider, but I just didn't have any gas left in the tank to do that, and Mike with SDBC caught me by surprise and was able to come around me. So, in the field of around 15, I took 5th place in the elimination. Considering I had absolutely 0 lungs and 0 fitness, and this being my first track race coming off of both COVID and a 2.5 week cold, basically 6 weeks off the bike, I was able to use a little bit of my noggin and stay in the race for as long as I did. So super stoked on this result. As I get stronger and I'm able to kind of, do a little bit more of the full gas efforts, I can use this same strategy to hopefully even knock myself into a podium position. Hopefully this helps you guys with elimination racing. If you want to see some more track racing, some more crit racing, and some vlogging, stick around. Maybe check out this next video.